Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and today I'm here to talk about the three main endgame goals of PokeMMO and or playstyles even, and sort of how to set goals for them and work around them. Now, if you don't know, the three main sort of goals slash playstyles end up being shiny hunting, PvP, and vanity sort of collecting, or sort of just money hoarding or money collecting and money making anyways. Now, money making is needed for sort of all of these. You do need to make some amount of Pokeyen to get shiny hunting or start shiny hunting with Lepa berries, or the shiny hunting you can do for free, honestly, with a sweet scent Pokemon, or at least very, very close to free, like 5k or so for a sweet scent Pokemon, maybe 20k for a PP max. Go near to a PC, get a fly Pokemon or a teleport Pokemon, all for like less than 50k, and just start shiny hunting, bam, 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 crank them out, go ahead and just start. Times 5 hordes in your PC are awesome. But for PvP, you may need to spend a couple million Pokeyen on a team, etc., etc. Vanities can get really expensive. Vanities can be as cheap as like 20k for like a really cool vanity, or they can get up to as crazy as 15 billion. It sounds insane. It is insane. It's not for the average player. Those are pretty special vanities, but I'd say that for most people, you can sort of go for those like 100 million vanities. Now, that is once again a very long-term goal, but that's a good long-term goal. Something like the Holly Hair Clip or the Vampire Fangs, or I know a lot of people like stuff like the Golden Dragon Mask. Those are like the bigger, fancier ones. It's like 15 mil right now, nothing too crazy. I don't know what it'll cost at the time of recording, but that's pretty decent in my opinion. A lot of things to shoot for. Let's first start off by talking about shiny hunting, my favorite thing in the game. And I always recommend people, if you want to get into shiny hunting, a really great thing about it is finding the inspiration for what shiny Pokemon you want to essentially achieve. Going for your favorite shinies or favorite Pokemon in shiny form is great. However, in PokeMMO, it ends up being pretty freaking hard. Especially, it depends, right? Especially if your favorite Pokemon is something like Charizard, which a lot of people like. I mean, good luck getting 150 million Pokeyen and spending 6 to 18 months of your life going after it. It's not an easy thing. That's what's called a rare shiny. Rare shinies are rare for a reason. They're excruciatingly difficult to get. So most people kind of have to settle and be like, oh, you know what? Like, I really like Marl. Marl has a really cute shiny. Let's hunt that. So if you kind of have to settle, you want to understand what shinies you might like, you can go ahead and open up this website. This is called Pokemon Database. They have a huge list of all of the shiny Pokemon. I always recommend scrolling through here, looking through all of the Pokemon. If you hover over them, you'll see their original form over Venonat at the moment on the right-hand corner of the screen, Venonat. You can see, the red eyes, that's the original form, blue eyes, that's the shiny form. You can sort of see that sort of transition or that difference if you care about that, or if you don't really remember what the original Pokemon looks like exactly. Pokemon Database, really, really, really good tool for figuring out, hey, what shiny Pokemon do I even like? I don't really know if I know what every single shiny form of a Pokemon, that's a lot of Pokemon, right? I don't know if I remember what every single shiny Pokemon looks like off the top of my head. I mean, I do, because I spend a lot of time shiny hunting, but your average player probably doesn't, right? And it only makes sense. It's only fair. It's too many points. So you just load up the website, scroll through here. Now, there's going to be slight differences for sure, because this is obviously like sort of 3D sprites, or almost I don't even know if you'd call them that. They're kind of like a weird custom thing, right? Like artwork. Versus the 2D pixel sprites you see in game. So we'll see this hop up here. It is going to look different, but it'll be pretty comparable, and at least give you an idea of what shinies you might like and what shinies you might want to hunt. This is what I do when I'm trying to increase my list. So scroll through here, have a notepad document up on the side. That's very important. We're big into the notepad document, gang. Notepad document up on the side, and then essentially write down all of the shiny Pokemon that interest you. And then once you write down all the ones that interest you, we're going to go even further than that, and we're going to separate them into different kinds of hunts. And that's going to be really important. Now, understanding what Pokemon is what kind of hunt is kind of tough. You almost just have to go like test it within game. Now, if you want a really simple, easy answer, if you only want beginner hunts, I do have videos on this. If you look up like top 5 PokeMMO beginner shiny hunting spots, I have a video on that. And then I have like, 5 more, shiny hunting spots for beginners. I have 2 videos on that. I'm pretty sure I have multiple other ones as well, like top 5 Lepa spots, etc. If you want like intermediate type hunts, stuff like that. So check out those videos. But essentially, It's going to be really tough to, you don't really know. You could always ask me in the comments down below. I'll try to get to you, but it is definitely important to maybe go test for yourself or see what's up. Usually you can just go to the Pokedex. The Pokedex is a fantastic tool in PokeMMO. So let's say I want to shiny hunt Growlithe/Arcanine. I would head over to Growlithe. I would look for hordes. You want to look for hordes. Hordes are the best way to shiny hunt everything if you don't know. So you see he has 3 different horde locations. Okay, Pokemon Mansion, day/morning only, levels 20 to 30. Route 7 in Horde in Kanto. You could see that this is probably, so these two, I'm going to take a guesstimate. I don't know this. These two, since they're lower level, 15 to 17, there's a good chance that these 2 hordes are actually ×3 hordes, which is going to be slower than a ×5 horde. Now, maybe they're 100% chance, though, so maybe you want to do that. So you might have to go test all these. There's only 3 hordes. Not that crazy, right? Go test those 3 different horde spots and figure out, hey, do I want to go at this ×5 horde that might share a spot with like Ponyta or some sort of other Pokemon that I don't necessarily want as a shiny? Or do I want to go for like a 100% ×3 spot that may take a little bit longer, but hey, once I do get that shiny, it will be 100% Growlithe. That's another important conversation to have. So make a list of shinies, make a list of all the shinies you want to hunt, separate them by ×5 hordes, ×3 hordes. You could even kind of denote if they're like a nighttime or a daytime only hunt. That's going to be important. Denote whether they're a Lepa Berry hunt or not, which means you need to like have Lepa Berries on you to restore your PP if you're really far from a PC. Denote if they're single encounter hunts, and definitely denote if they are a rare shiny hunt or most likely an egg hunt. So my general rule on this is if you go to the Pokedex and you see lore, if you see rare or very rare, a better example is something like Beldum. I get asked this all the time, like, hey man, if I want to shiny hunt Beldum, where's the best place to go in the wild? And I immediately have to be like, no, like don't go to the wild to hunt Beldum. The issue is Beldum in the Metagross line is going to end up being a egg hunt. If you see things like very rare, if you see things like lore, I would stay away from anything that is rare or higher. So that includes rare, lore, or very rare. Those 3 things. If you see that on these Pokemon and they don't have any other locations, if they could have a rare spot and an uncommon spot, but if they essentially have lore, rare, very rare, only those, stay away, go egg hunt those. And I say go egg hunt those, but also don't go egg hunt those until you're like really deep into the game, because it's really expensive. It takes a lot of time. Egg hunting is specifically reserved for veteran players. It's specifically reserved for really wealthy players and really experienced players. Now that sounds really gatekeepy, right? Like, oh, that's super lame. Like, why are all the rare shinies, so why do they only reserve for the the better players? It's because they're rare. If they weren't hard to get, if they weren't reserved for like the people who put in the most effort to get them, they wouldn't be rare. And that's kind of lame. I'd rather them be really difficult. I'm someone with no egg shinies, and I've been hunting for one for 13 months. For example, I've been hunting Cranidos for 13 months. I've spent 125 million Pokeyen. I'm almost 27,000 encounters in, and I still don't have it. And that sucks, but I wouldn't want it to be any different. I wouldn't want it to be more common, because once I finally get it, it'll be that much more meaningful. It'll be that much more rare. It should be rare. Just my thoughts, my opinion, right? But that's the basics of shiny hunting. Make a list, sort that list by difficulty, and figure out what you want to hunt, what you can afford to hunt, etc., time-wise and Pokeyen-wise. Right now, let's go ahead and move on to the second main goal. Already 8 minutes into this video. I didn't expect this to be this much of a ramble, this much of a long one, but turns out I guess I have a mouth on me. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second one, PvP. PvP is really cool in PokeMMO. It's a very unique format. It doesn't really stick to any sort of generation wholly. If you don't know, PokeMMO is a Gen 5 Pokemon game with like Gen 9 and custom PvP balancing. So for example, in Gen 5, there was infinite weather when it was set up by like drought and drizzle and stuff like that. That was unbelievably broken. Everybody knew that at the time. We obviously don't do that in PokeMMO. That would be horrible. So there's no infinite weather. There are custom move changes in guts. So for example, Baton Pass is nerfed into oblivion, which is fantastic because Baton Pass meta is one of the most unfun metas in Pokemon. Garchomp cannot learn Swords Dance, which is a really big deal. Hydreigon cannot learn Draco Meteor, which is a really big deal. A lot of these sort of balancing changes. There's no legendaries in PokeMMO besides Shaman, which isn't very strong, and there's no Skyform. So we don't have things like Landorus T running around. We don't have like the Genie brothers in doubles, right? Like we don't have those sort of things to have to balance. We don't have Cresselia. We don't have Heatran. which really changes the way the metas form. The meta of PokeMMO is pretty interesting in my opinion. You can always go to statistics. This is a huge tool for people trying to get into PvP. Please do this. Click the PvP Pokeball, go to matchmaking sign up, go to statistics. You'll see OU, UU, NU. All of this information is at your fingertips. It's so powerful. If you're trying to get into PvP, you have to understand it. Whenever you build a team, your team should be able to answer like all of the top couple Pokemon, right? We can see that Garchomp, or if you're trying to like get some free wins or get some, a powerful team built, maybe look at some of these, top Pokemon, maybe use some of the most powerful ones. So Garchomp, we can see what items are Garchomp users using. Okay, we see Focus Sash. That's probably a Stealth Rock setter. We see Life Orb. That's probably some sort of, mixed attacker. Maybe this has Draco Meteor because Garchomp can learn Draco. They're going naive to be mixed offensive. We see a Jolly. We see Roughstan. We see some Sand users. These are probably Sand teams, which is honestly a decent chunk. 24% of people using Garchomp are using them Sand. That's pretty decent. Scissor, you get the point. You can sort of go through and cultivate all this information that's at your fingertips. It's one of the most powerful tools in PokeMMO is that they just straight up give you all of the PvP statistics in game. It's beautiful. It's awesome. Now, first things first. If you want to get into PvP, or a bunch of first things first, in PokeMMO, PvP in PokeMMO is going to be much more difficult, in my opinion, to get into than something like Pokemon Showdown. I mean, it's inherently more difficult because you actually have to build your team, right? Versus in Showdown, you can just sort of input, the data, what Pokemon, team you want, etc. In this, you actually have to go, IV breed, EV train, get your Pokemon, level them up, move set them, etc., etc. There's so much that goes into making a team or creating a team. Now, you can actually bypass all of that by playing randoms. I always recommend new PokeMMO PvPers get into randoms. Now, randoms is a double-edged sword because randoms can teach you some habits that aren't going to be great for constructed play, but if you want to start from scratch, randoms is just so good. It's so free. It's so easy to jump into. As soon as you get your 4th gym badge completed in PokeMMO, you can go ahead and head over to sign up, go over to randoms, click ranked, click enter queue. Don't really ever play casual. Casual isn't really worth it for anyone just because no one really sits there in queues, and don't worry about your elo. Don't worry about losing rank. I always tell people, if you're new to PokeMMO, you're new to PvP, you're going to lose a ton, and you kind of just have to accept that. If you go 0-20, 0-50 in PvP, that's normal if you're new to the game. It's really brutal, and I'm going to tell you, I want you to know, just don't feel bad. Don't let it discourage you. The best thing you can do if you're new to PokeMMO PvP, just accept that you're going to lose over and over and over again, and just try to learn something from each game. Do not care who wins or loses if you're learning. Don't care who wins or loses. Just try to take one thing from each game. What could you have done better? And that's the best way to sort of improve and sort of go from there. Just accept those losses and sort of be okay with it. It's tough. It's really hard. It's really hard not to get, demotivated after losing so many games in a row. It's super, human, but kind of what you have to do to push through in PokeMMO. Now, that's the first step. Practice with randoms. Now, if you want to, after practicing randoms for however many hours, for however many games, let's say you want to get into constructive play. A really good way to do that is by picking which tier you want to play. Now, I always recommend people getting into OU. OU is by far the most beginner-friendly tier. It's just really powerful Pokemon, and most people play OU, which means on average, the average OU player is going to be not worse or not bad, but worse than the average UU or NU player. Usually UU or NU players pick those tiers because they kind of know what they're doing, or they kind of pick those tiers because they really care about those Pokemon in those tiers, and they have a more deep understanding of the Pokemon in those tiers, for example. So people who are picking our UU and NU as their favorite tiers are kind of a little unhinged. You want to go for OU as a new player, but if you really are someone who just goes against the grain and you really don't want to go OU, even though I'm highly recommending you go OU, you can pick your tier by choosing your favorite Pokemon. This is what I do. So my favorite Pokemon is Shuckle. I go ahead and I look at the Pokedex. I see, what tier is he? Oh, he's untiered. Well, that sucks because he's going to be pretty bad in NU most likely. There's a lot of untiered Pokemon that do a really good job in NU. Shuckle's not really one of them. He can kind of work, but it's going to be bringing your team down for sure. What's my next favorite Pokemon? Stunfisk. I mean, he's also terrible. I'm gonna be a really bad person to look for examples here. essentially look through the tiers, you can look through the PvP statistics and see like, oh, where's my favorite Pokemon? Or you could go to the Pokedex and just enter your favorite Pokemon and see, oh, my favorite one's Blastoise. He's in the UU tier. Let me try that out. That's a really cool way, in my opinion, to play Pokemon PvP. One of my favorite things about Pokemon PvP is that it's separated by tiers, which allows you to hopefully play your favorite Pokemon in PvP to some sort of success, even if it's like not the best. It might, not be terrible or useless. That's the goal with Pokemon PvP. So find your tier, practice with randoms first, and then once you want to find your tier, maybe find it by looking for your favorite Pokemon. If you want to do research and learn and watch someone else play PvP, I always recommend this fantastic PokeMMO YouTuber, AFC Adino. Not only is he a really, really good PokeMMO PvPer, but he's also just one of the best Pokemon PvPers in the world. I believe he peaked at rank 6 Scarlet and Violet OU PvP. I saw recently on his Twitch bio. He was talking to me when he was hitting like rank 8 or rank 9. If you don't know, that means he's essentially reached top 10 in the world in the most popular Pokemon PvP format. That's I mean, how else do you how else do you say that? It's pretty insane. It's a really big deal. It's essentially top 10 in the world at a time in the most popular format that exists. Yo, what's up? What's up, Mick? In Pokemon, it's crazy. In Pokemon PvP, not even just PokeMMO, but Pokemon PvP. He's also been like top 10 in PokeMMO. He's been rank 1, I believe, in Poke1 and Pro, I think. He's been rank 1 in a bunch of other Pokemon MMO PvPs. Very, very good Pokemon PvPer is my main point. Go check him out. You can actually get, not to chill too much for him, but I think it's a great deal. He's not asking me to do this. I think it's a genuinely great deal. You can subscribe to his Patreon for like $10 a month, and you'll get a 1-hour coaching session, I believe, every month for $10. Can you think of a rank top 10 in any profession in the world where you can pay them $10 for a 1-hour coaching session? Imagine if you could go to Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks in the world. I know a lot of you guys won't get this, but imagine going to anything like that and say, hey, here's $10. Can I get an hour of coaching? They'd spit in your face and laugh at you. The fact that you can get 1 hour of coaching for $10 from one of the best players or best people in their field is a crazy, legitimately great deal. Now, after you do all of that, after you practice with randoms, after you find your favorite tier, after you research from AFC Adino and other just Pokemon YouTubers, other Pokemon sources online, it's time to build a team. Building a team is something that I don't want to give too much advice on because I'm pretty bad at it and it's really hard. There's so many things to ask yourself when building a PokeMMO PvP team. Hey, do I have an answer for Garchomp? Do I have an answer for Scizor? Do I have an answer for Stealth Rocks? Do I have a Defogger? Do I have a Rapid Spinner? Do I need a Stealth Rock or Spike Setter on my team? Do I have a ground type Pokemon to prevent Volt switching? Do I have a solid switch for U-turn? There's so many things. I promise you. Do I have a Scald switch in that's safe? There's so many things to think about when making a Pokemon team. I recommend checking out other really, really in-depth guides. There's other Pokemon PvPers who will make great guides on that. After that, just go for it. After you build your team, just go for it. I also recommend, honestly, if you start to notice an issue with your team, don't adjust it right away. That's an issue that I'll have sometimes where if I'll play like 1 to 3 games and I'll immediately make an adjustment within my team, and you don't need to do that. What you actually want to do is just like, make sure that issue exists. Well, don't have too small of an anecdotal sort of pool size or sample size. You want to play more games, make sure you know what the issue is before you sort of make an adjustment in your team. That's really important. But you do want to slowly sort of make adjustments, maybe switch out Pokemon here and there, which is going to be tough because it's expensive and time consuming to make more Pokemon for the game, right? So keep that in mind. That should be it for PvP. I know it was a very long ramble, but I hope there was little tidbits of information in there that helped you. Now, I'm going to move on to money making / vanities here in a sec, but before I do that, if I've given you any information that was super helpful in this video, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for daily PokeMMO videos, okay? I really, really, really appreciate that. Now, moving on over to money making / vanities. I kind of put these two together because everybody needs to make money, but you could also just make money full time as sort of your thing, and use that towards vanities, use that towards other sort of collecting purposes within the game. Now, if you're trying to find out which vanities you like, because I think it's really hard for a lot of people to figure out which vanities they actually like within the game. The main thing that I recommend is a little website called PokeMMO.netlify, and this actually has a full-on like cosmetic helper and like cosmetic customizer. I'll go ahead and show you guys this now. We're gonna adjust it live on video because that's just how we do things here. Cosmetics helper, and this essentially allows you to go through and pick like all of the vanities in the game. So I can see my naked character down here. I can go ahead and select like a hat and change it. I can go to the Q hat, something I'll never own, a very, very expensive vanity. I can go ahead and select that, and that'll put it on my character. I can see what it would look like. So you can just straight up go through these, scroll through all these, and just find a sort of outfit that you like within PokeMMO without ever actually having to like buy them, or without ever having this. Okay, quick note: Banhammer is a mod only item. We can't actually get that as players. Just keep that in mind. But it's really cool to be able to go through here and sort of figure out, hey, I'm just selecting random stuff, honestly. What sort of stuff do I want? What do I want my character to look like? It's a really, really cool tool. It's one of my favorite tools that people ever add to sites like this. I'm a huge fan. So definitely come check. We made an absolute demon over here. Definitely come check this site out. It should be linked in the description down below. It's super, super useful for figuring out your goals. Once again, setting your goals is one of the most important things you can do in PokeMMO. There is infinite content to do in PokeMMO if you set goals for them. If you ever get bored in PokeMMO, it's usually because you need a new goal to be set. You're either bored or sick of something or just don't really want to continue, etc., etc. Set a new goal, try something different, try something totally fresh. It should really get you back into the game. I've been getting a lot of questions again recently about this, and I do have 2 other guides on endgame goals and stuff, but this is more of a, I guess, freelance ramble, 3 main goals type thing. I do have a sort of perused, curated guide called Top 10 Endgame Goals for PokeMMO, and one that is Top 5 Post-Game Goals. Top 5 Post-Game Goals is very, like, sort of generic, and not generic. It's very, like, the base level. You want to watch that first, and then you want to watch Top Endgame Goals. That's more specific, but... And then there's this one, this guide that is hopefully helpful, because I think it's worth talking about these 3 things individually and in a lot of depth. Now, let's get back to vanities / money making. So now we covered how to set your vanity goals. First step, set your vanity goals and browse your dream vanities. Figure out what outfit you want to shoot for. Now, if you don't care about vanities, but you do care about money making, I have a playlist on my channel called PokeMMO Money Making Guides. I think there's over 60 plus videos in there at the time of recording. Check that out. Go use that. Go abuse that. All of the moneymakers in there should be decent. Some might be terrible, but if they are, I usually say them in the thumbnail, say, hey, this only made like 17K an hour, don't even touch this. You can still watch the video for fun, I guess, but it's not going to be a great money-making method. There's tons of different money-making methods in PokeMMO, and that should cover really all of them. It's really important to keep in mind that the main couple, the really most important ones off the top of my head, are gym reruns, berry farming. Elite Four reruns can be good, but I don't really recommend them to the average player. Even berry farming is kind of player dependent. I don't do them personally, so keep that in mind. Gym runs everyone can sort of do, but maybe you prefer berry farming. Now, catching certain Pokemon for Pokeyen is also really good. So Dittos, Shroomish, Pikachu, Rotom, I've heard is good, but I haven't tested personally. There's another one I'm forgetting. There's like certain Pokemon, Torkoal, certain Pokemon that are like really good. Whalmer's a great one. Really good to catch for profit. Definitely check those out. And I have, once again, the loot from 1 hour and all the money making guides on those specific Pokemon. Now, there's also Payday, which is on there, which is super solid. There should be some sort of method for any level of player, whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, or have 1 region done, 2 regions, all 4 regions, whatever your status of the game is, there should be a guide for you. There are beginner guides on there as well. If you're like straight out of Viridian City, I have guides for you. Like that's how, bare bones it gets. So definitely just check out that playlist is the main thing I'd recommend. And I think that's pretty much it, unless I'm forgetting. I want to talk about, flipping and breeding for profit. These 2 things probably make you the most profit in the entire game, like even more than gym reruns. Flipping, but it's inconsistent, right? Or it's demanding. Flipping and breeding can pretty easily make you, I shouldn't say easily, like 400 to 600k Pokeyen per hour. It is absurd. However, These two things require a lot of game knowledge, and a lot of experience. That's not something everyone can do like successfully super quickly. I've been playing this game for like 10 years, and you can watch my streams and see how many times I make a mistake while breeding. It's hilarious how many times I'll like breed for 40 minutes, and within those 40 minutes, I'll make like, 500k, but then I'll make a mistake that costs me after like 50 to 100k. So I'll sort of just like set myself back. But if you don't make mistakes, you make, perma money. So definitely keep in mind, flipping and breeding for profit are really good if you have the game knowledge and if you have the understanding to do them. That's a really tough thing, and it's hard to explain, honestly, but I'm gonna leave it at that. This has been a 25-minute video, honestly long enough. Hopefully there's been tons of information. I think getting back to these ramble type videos when I'm passionate about a subject might be pretty helpful. I think I do have a lot of experience and a lot to say on this stuff, but I'm just hoping that some of it was helpful to you guys. Let me know if this video was helpful. If you had some information, let me know in the comments. Let me know by liking the video. Let me know by disliking if you didn't like the style of video. Let me know by subscribing to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. Follow my Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. EST. Discord is linked down below. You can go above and beyond and support the channel and allow me to keep making content like this for $5 a month with YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and my PayPal/Venmo linked down below. But that's it for me. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Peace and keep playing PokeMMO.